Hari Om Tat Sat. One of the questions that Yogi and I are asked most is, how do I start a daily spiritual practice? Or what is a daily spiritual practice? And why do we do it every day? And the answer starts by understanding yoga. What is yoga and how does it benefit us? Yoga is a complete science of body and mind. The word yoga itself means union of body and mind. And all of the yoga practices come from that science and are meant to facilitate that union. They bring balance to the body and mind and create homeostasis, which means the body and mind are operating harmoniously. That is yoga. What are the results? Good health, balanced emotions, strong willpower, clarity of thought and focus, a positive attitude, creativity, and relaxation. Now, a daily spiritual practice, the basic structure or foundation from which all other yoga practices are built on, has two parts, a practice for the body and a practice for the mind. So let's start by understanding a practice for the body. The mind controls all of the functions of the body through the central nervous system, which is made up of brain, spinal cord, nerves. It is a highly intricate network of communication that transmits electrical impulses from the brain via the spinal nerves to the body, from the body to the brain. It controls all of the systems of the body, all of the organs, glands, and hormones. Now, this network of energetic communication is encased within the spinal column, which is made up of bones called vertebrae and discs. Vertebrae disc from the base all the way to the top. Now, the energetic pathways of communication, these spinal nerves, come out of holes between the vertebrae next to the disc. If there is any interference in this energetic pathway of communication, so if the vertebrae is out of alignment, or if the disc is compressed, it will impinge on this nerve and cause it to malfunction, which will affect whichever systems of the body, organs, glands, or hormones which it controls. It brings imbalance to the body, which leads to suffering and disease. So yoga practice begins with spinal health, where we move the spine in 5 different directions through postures called asanas. Through yoga asanas, the bones of the spine, the vertebrae, are manipulated into alignment. And it causes a process called imbibition, where water is pumped into these discs, releasing any pressure on this nerve, opening up that energetic pathway, restoring power and function to whichever systems of the body, organs, glands, or hormones which it controls. 5 postures, 5 movements of the spinal column. Yoga asanas can be categorized into 5 groups: a forward bend, a backward bend, a side bend, a spinal twist, and an inversion where the spinal column is decompressed by reversing the gravitational pull. A minimum of 5 postures. Understanding that if you did more postures or you hold the postures longer, it will further increase these benefits. But this is how we restore the power and function of the central nervous system daily. Now, the flip side is, just as a surgeon manipulates the brain to have an effect on the body, we can manipulate the spine to have a direct effect on the brain. The various nerve plexuses along the spinal column are directly connected to various emotional centers within the brain, from the primitive brain here at the stem to the lower and higher limbic structures, to the frontal lobes and the cerebral cortex, which govern a range of emotions from security to sexuality to will and drive to compassion and empathy to discriminative thinking and focus. So when we do yoga asanas, postures, we stimulate the entire consciousness, which brings balance to all of those emotional centers, which brings us balanced emotions. It furthermore stimulates those emotional centers and awakens their higher faculties. So daily yoga practice. Step 1, postures for the body. Step 2, practice for the mind. Mind and breath are directly connected. We breathe according to the thoughts in our mind. So if the mind is angry or agitated, the breath is short and shallow. If the mind is calm and relaxed, the breath is slow and deep. So while we may not be able to control the thoughts in our mind, we can control our breath. That's what the ancient yogis understood. We may not be able to think ourselves into a calm and relaxed state, but we can slow down and deepen the breath, which will induce a calm and relaxed state of mind. We can control the mind and the brain waves through the breath. Yogic breath work is called pranayama. Prana means energy. Yama means control. We control the energy of the mind through the breath. The science of yogic breath work is phenomenal. And let's take one practice as an example. Alternate nostril breathing, which is called nadi shodhana. When we breathe through the right nostril, it directly stimulates the left hemisphere of the brain. When we breathe through the left nostril, it directly stimulates the right hemisphere of the brain. When we perform controlled alternate nostril breathing, we equally stimulate both hemispheres of the brain, bringing balance to the entirety of the brain, which brings balance to the entirety of the body. That's the power of yogic breath work. So 2 steps to a daily practice: postures for the body and breath work for the mind. Through postures, we balance the body and restore its energy. Through breath work, we balance the mind and begin to control the energy within it. Now the question is, what are you going to do with all of that power and energy? That's the next step, where we harness that energy of the mind and we specifically focus it on intentions that we want to create and manifest in our life. It's a powerful practice called sankalpa, and I will discuss it in a separate video. But for now, I hope this inspires you to start a daily practice and step into your sovereignty, your inherent place of power, because we were not created to be limited. We were created to be powerful. Hari Om Tat Sat.